How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Pepe just made an insanely bullish move. It's actually up about 17% here today. And yeah, I think you're going to like what you see in this video in terms of Pepe. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this. Also, we're going to have Tyler Hill in this video, so I'll leave him linked underneath the video in case you want to check out his channel, but he's going to be looking at Pepe from a technical standpoint. But let's get into it. As you can see, Bitcoin looking pretty good. It pushed over 100,000 again here today. It was over 100,000 yesterday as well. Ethereum over 4,000. XRP back into that 250 range. Solana in the mid 240s. Dogecoin making a little bit of a move up into the mid 40s. Cardano just sitting at that 120 mark. And then as you scroll down, you notice one thing very noticeably. Pepe up 18.5% here today. And actually, if you sort by the 24 hours, we actually have a good number of meme coins up. Pepe up 18.5%. BitGet's up about 17.3 at number 2 for the day. But Dog with Hat up 12, Floki up 11, Bonk up 10, Popcat up 10, Kaspa up 10. Kaspa is actually one of my bigger bags as well in the altcoin market. And then Brett, Shiba Inu, Dogecoin, like these are, the meme coins are what, like 6, 7 out of the top 10 right now in terms of performance. And Pepe just made a really important move, which we'll show with Tyler in a second. But I think what you have to realize here, just for all the beginners out there, do not shift your capital around from what's pumping to what's pumping, because these have been like the worst, not worst, but worse performers. When you look at like layer ones, meme coins, AI, this has not done well in a little while. Over the last 30 days, sure, it's done well, but everything has. If you look at the last 30 days, people have been investing in AI largely and in layer ones. But meme coins have been left behind a little bit. And people have been saying, well, that's why you don't invest in meme coins. People are going to buy real assets this cycle. The fact is, people are going to buy every asset this cycle. There's so much money flowing in. We just saw another $2 billion printed at the Tether Treasury yesterday. The fact is, wherever you get into, make sure you just don't shift the capital to wherever's pumping, because that's a classic beginner mistake. Now, we have big volume today on Pepe, and it just passed an $11 billion market cap. I want to actually play this clip from Tyler where he talks about the price action that Pepe could have. Now, before we get over to Tyler, if you do want to trade crypto, there's a link underneath the video to BTCC. They have a 10% deposit bonus on first-time deposits and lower trading fees when you use that link. You can trade assets like Pepe on leverage or spot. Just make sure you understand the risks of leverage trading, because it is highly risky, and using a centralized exchange too. There are drawbacks to that sometimes, but as you can see, we have been doing well on our positions here. So Tyler, over to you.
I appreciate the intro there, Sam. And yeah, what we're seeing from Pepe right now is ridiculously bullish, sure, but it's honestly much more bullish than most people even realize. And that's kind of what I wanted to focus on. So just to catch everybody up to speed, what Pepe has been doing is nothing short of phenomenal, in my opinion. The fact that a meme coin had such a strong systematic breakout just now is almost unbelievable. It's something you just don't see. We saw Pepe's price obviously absolutely sending it November 13th. Starts coming back down a little bit, trickling downwards, right? We all saw this, going sideways, going down a bit. It creates this descending channel. We start tracking this parallel structure towards the downside. It comes down, hits a 3-piece off the green zone, breaks out of this descending channel, comes back, finds that support, flips the channel from resistance into support, uses that support to work itself up to this macro Fibonacci zone, breaks through the Fibonacci zone, and immediately sends it right back towards that range high, exactly where your Fibonacci's would imply that you would go. It just made a systematic move that is absolutely spectacular. But as I said before, it's even bigger than just this. Obviously, all-time highs are great. Everybody loves that. But it's bigger than this. Let me explain why. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out to the daily charts, and quite frankly, we're just going to get rid of everything. Let's just get rid of everything and look at this from a fresh perspective. What you can see here is that now that we have made this move upwards today, as long as we don't see Pepe get stalled out here, right, as long as we don't immediately get rejected, say, off the 2.6 level and start heading back down, Pepe has now completely validated the biggest RS flip that it has ever seen before. Now, Tyler, what is an RS flip? An RS flip is a resistance to support flip, meaning that you had a previous point of resistance that then gets flipped into support. Now, when this happens, it's extremely bullish, right? right? Because what will happen a lot of the time is, so imagine we have a resistance point right here, and a crypto works itself up to it. And we know that the bears are stepping in and they're forcing that price down. They don't want the bulls to break that boundary. They don't want the bulls to get above this resistance zone. But when the bulls are capable of doing it, oftentimes what you'll notice is that a back test will happen, in which it looks like, you know, the bears step in, they start winning a bit, the bulls kind of let back a little bit. We see all of our indicators reset, and then we try to go for this move, which is when we flip that previous point of resistance into a support zone. And if you can get that liquidity flip from being a bearish point of liquidity to a bullish point of liquidity, oftentimes this will really allow for mass movements upwards. This is a bit of a cool down, a pullback, a retest, whatever you want to call it, that will usually get you some really strong gains upwards. This is a very bullish thing to happen, okay? And so if we go look back at what Pepe's doing right now, it's exactly that. Pepe's price got up towards its all-time high back in May of 2024 before getting stalled out a little bit. And, you know, the craziest part about it is that as we have been making this move upwards, we absolutely blitzed through that resistance point. I mean, absolutely smashed through it. But of course, as I told you, oftentimes when you have a resistance zone like this and you break through it, the bears are gonna try. They're gonna give you a hell of a fight. And what you can see is that's what happened. The bears stepped in right here, pushing the price down and sending Pepe back towards that previous point of resistance and attempt to flip it into support. And what happened was that as we were getting towards the bottom side of that channel I just showed you, we saw the bulls step in absolute mass. I mean, absolute mass bullish liquidation. And I mean, just, or, you know, liquidity injection, and just sent it. And from there, what we can see is that Pepe has now confirmed that this backtest was successful. We can now see that this RS flip has now officially happened. And oftentimes when you can get an RS flip of this nature, consistent price discovery is pretty typical. I mean, in a situation like this, I would pull up my Fibonacci's and I would go from that previous all-time high down to this low here. And I would assume that at minimum, we should see Pepe's price be able to breach towards that 3.5 to 4 level at some given point. Not saying it's going to be immediate, right? Not saying we're going to go straight up here. We definitely might try to pull back, find a higher low, use it for support and continue upwards or whatever, right? You never really know. That's not the point. The point is that now that we have seen such a successful resistance to support flip, it's becoming even more likely that Pepe will try to continue up through these Fibonacci zones and likely head towards that 3.5 to 4 level towards the upside, in my opinion. So I think that Pepe could still have some room left to run in the mid to long term. Obviously, the short term is a little bit sketchy. Buying right now is a bit of a risk, especially after a back test right there. But overall, I do think that Pepe has more room here, and it definitely could, over the next coming weeks, push that price up towards 3.5 or 4, which, I mean, from here, shoot, that's still a possible 40 to 60, 70% in gain. So really, really good stuff here from Pepe. Very, very, very bullish price action. And again, as I mentioned before, it's so much bigger than just this little move that we've seen recently. So I wanted to kind of go over that and kind of show your audience what we're seeing there, and hopefully they can see a bit more of that bigger picture. So I appreciate you for having me on as per usual. And of course, back to you, my friend.
Now, Pepe, obviously about an $11 billion market cap, and Tyler, thanks for going through that, but about $11 billion market cap. Keep in mind, we had Dogecoin hitting, let's see, what was that market cap last cycle? About a $100 billion market cap at the very peak. Okay, so if you think that Pepe is going to get up there to Dogecoin's old market cap, it could still move about 8 to 9x from here. I'm not saying that it will do that, but it could do that. It could lose a zero in a lot of people's minds. Now, of course, that would be very bullish, right? If you're thinking Pepe is going to do that well, then you probably think the rest of the market's probably going to do like a 5x or something like that, which would put the cryptocurrency market cap around an $18 trillion valuation. Now, keep in mind, I am actually a subscriber to Into the Cryptoverse, and on Into the Cryptoverse, there's this total crypto market cap and trend line. If you look here, last cycle, the fair value at the second peak was about $726 billion, and we went up to about $2.9 trillion. So it was almost exactly 4x the fair value. Now, why is this important? Well, if we scroll in on the next year here, you can see we're slightly above the fair value, but if we think we're going to peak out around the same time that we have in the past, the fair value could be around 4.5 trillion, which if we go 4 times above that, just like last cycle, that brings us to about $18 trillion. That's exactly what I was saying, that if you think Pepe is going to, 8 or 9x, you probably think the rest of the market's going to 5x, that would put us at an $18 trillion market cap. So yeah, I think it's on the table. Now, is that necessarily going to happen? I don't know, right? Some people would say we're already overheated now. There's no way we're going up another 5x or 4x from here, which, that would be an insane return. But I think anything's on the table right now. I actually have some very bullish news that I'm going to be talking about in my next video. But as you can see, like the market cap was down at 800 billion for all of crypto during the bear market. So if we do a move up to 18 trillion, what kind of move would that be? What, like a 25x move? Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And yeah, we'll have to continue to watch to see what happens next. But don't be surprised if there's a Sunday pump or Sunday dump, probably both. As you can see, the U.S. Treasury Department released a report calling Bitcoin digital gold in a decentralized finance world. So yeah, you would think that's something that's the digital version of something in the real world. So it's cheaper to move, faster, more accessible. You would think that would be valued a little bit higher than the alternative, the original. Now you can see Bitcoin dominance going down too. So alts could continue to pump, especially with money flowing back in. And Chicken Genius, you might know him from YouTube. He's talking about crypto a little bit more. He says, Trump buying ETH. The president is buying ETH. Go verify for yourself, and then leaves the link. Now, it's hard to know whether, someone's sending him ETH for something, or whether he's buying ETH, or whether, something with the NFTs that he's done. But the fact is, the fact that we're even talking about a president getting their hands on Ethereum, getting their hands on Bitcoin, that is just crazy, right? I think we're in store for a very interesting next year. So yeah, it's really cool to see this move from Pepe. If you want to buy Pepe, by the way, or if you want to trade Pepe, there is a link underneath the video where you can trade through BTCC. They're giving a 10% deposit bonus on first-time deposits and lower trading fees. But of course, make sure you do your due diligence and you know the risks of using an exchange and the risks of using leverage. Thank you so much again to Tyler. You can check out his channel underneath. Then I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.